Hey guys, this is Nathan Tucci with a daily analysis. Before I actually get into the charts today, I have a little bit of, I guess, an activity is the best way to call it, for those of you who want to participate, because I think it'll be very helpful to everyone who does. Now, if you don't want to do that, just go ahead and skip ahead into the charts if you'd like. But if you're willing to participate and do something that could be helpful for your trading, go ahead and stick with me for a minute here while I explain the idea of what I want to do. The best way to explain it is just to show you, okay, first of all, here's my euro dollar chart. You can see that there's no indicators, a few trend lines, a triangle that I've drawn in recent price action, and this is just my version of a euro dollar daily chart. Now, let me show you something else. Okay, so this is Tony's version of the exact same chart, a euro dollar daily chart. Now, notice the difference. Way more indicators, a lot of patterns, lots of lines. He's pointing out a lot of different things. There's a lot going on, but obviously, it's a very different look at the very same chart. And so what I'm trying to illustrate here is just how, two different traders can look at the same chart and see very different things and interpret things very differently based on what indicators they use or what things they just notice. And so I thought it'd be kind of cool if everyone who's watching this would submit their euro dollar daily chart, their current euro dollar daily chart with their indicators and their lines drawn in it, so we could just kind of get an idea of how so many different charts can be of the same, the same currency pair in the same time frame, but we could see so many different things. And it just, I think it'll help give us a perspective of not, maybe not being closed-minded or stuck in our own way, but being able to interpret. Wow, I cannot talk today. But being able to interpret things from a lot of different perspectives, because I think that'll give us a more complete view of trading. Okay, so if you're interested in doing that, I would encourage you to go ahead and submit your euro dollar daily chart into the comment section below. And if everyone participates, we'll get hundreds of different charts below. So I hope you do. And I'm not just going to tell you to, I'm actually going to show you how to do that if you're willing to participate. Okay? Okay, so the best way to do this is to go ahead and go to your snipping tool, which you can find just by snipping or typing snipping or snip, whatever, into your window and clicking snipping tool. And then once you click that, it'll bring up a little cursor where you can select an area. So one thing you have to be careful is that you don't select too big of an area, or else it won't let you input into the comments. But I can just pick my triangle here with the snipping tool, and you'll see that the picture pops up, and then you can even draw on whatever you want. You can see that you have an ability to draw there, whatever you want to do, and then just save it. And once you save it, you can save it as whatever in your picture section, and it'll go ahead and allow you to save it. And then you want to bring up the website under. Okay, so here I am on yesterday's daily analysis. You can scroll down, and under leave a comment, you can click this little picture shortcut here. It says upload images when you browse over it. Click that. Click the image that you're trying to upload, and then you can click open. It'll put it right in the comments, and you actually have to put some text. You can't just do the picture. So you say, this is my euro chart, okay? And then click post, and if I scroll down a little bit, you can see there it posted. And then to see it larger, you can just click on it, and it'll bring up the chart larger. Now again, you can't do too big of a picture, which is why I did a relatively small one there, but you can try a few different ones and eventually get to a size that will allow you to upload. Okay, so that's how you do it. Just under the comment section, click to leave a comment, use the shortcut here to upload an image, and then pick the image wherever you saved it. Alright, so if you're willing to participate in this, I'd really appreciate it. I think it'll give us a good idea of how to get a perspective of different types of charts and different perspectives of the same market. And I think that it'll be a good thing for everyone to interact. So if you're willing to do that, please go ahead and do it. And if you're not, I'm sorry for wasting your time. Alright, let's jump into the news for tomorrow and then get into our charts. Alright, so as far as news goes tomorrow, you'll see that only two red tagged events. The first one is Canadian news at 8:30 a.m. So right as the New York session gets going, we'll have some red tagged Canadian news that you want to pay attention to. And then the other main one is at 9 o'clock p.m. And so that's manufacturing, and you want to pay attention to that. Other than that, not a lot of red tag stuff, mostly minor news as far as tomorrow is concerned. And we'll want to pay attention to the minor stuff as well to some extent, But the big red tech stuff is at 8:30 a.m. and then 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard, and those, of course, are the main announcements that you're going to pay attention to. Alright, let's also go through our terms real quickly, and then we'll jump right into those charts. Alrighty, so these are the terms, and basically, as we always say, it's just about education. We're not registered or licensed to provide investment advice, and this is purely an educational resource for you. Please do not risk your money based on what we say. And if you need to read through that and make sure you understand it fully, please do so. I'm going to get into the charts right now. So the first thing we have here is the euro dollar, which I've already showed you briefly. And one thing to note is that we are bouncing right off this middle area here, and we have a strong tail pushing downward from some of the euro weakness today. And so this is kind of what I talked about yesterday, with a lot of confusion and a lot of stuff going on in the euro dollar. Just makes it a little tricky to trade, which is why I'm avoiding it right now in terms of taking trades. Now you'll see that some of the other things I mentioned might be better trades, also looking a little ugly today too, so I guess it didn't matter which one you took. And I'll show you those. Mainly that's the pound being a little, well, a lot stronger than I expected today. So I'll take a look at that too. But as far as the euro dollar is concerned, this wedge is still building. I'm expecting more tightening until we get a breakout. And then when we get that breakout, we'll talk about potential trades. But until then, I'm kind of staying away from the euro dollar. I just think there's too much confusion and fighting going on around 1.3 right now. All right, let me get into that pound and show you what's going on there. All right, so the pound obviously rocking up. You can see that it smashed through my little trend line here. I was expecting price to get up around here, but then turn around pretty immediately and head downward. I think that was a pretty common expectation for those watching the pound. However, obviously, it's broken through this level. Now, whether or not this is a real breakout, yet it remains to be seen. But right now, it's looking like strong pound bullish momentum. So again, when it's a reverse breakout and it still hasn't really eclipsed any important levels, I'm not ready to jump on long quite yet, but it does look like a breakout as of now. I think there's a high probability that this thing might revert right back down and continue this downtrend like we talked about yesterday. But obviously, if you're not sure already or don't have a position on right now, I would not suggest jumping in short right now. So the pound dollar is one that I'm going to wait on. If we get a retest of this level from the other side in a continuation, then we'll be talking about long potential. But until then, I still think we're in a downtrend and it hasn't broken and then given us confirmation. Yes, there was a price break, but there hasn't been continuation confirmation yet. So still waiting on the pound to show me that. Another reason that I'm not completely confident in the pound dollar is because of that euro pound that I talked about, and let me show you exactly what I mean right. Okay, so the euro pound is in a recent uptrend, which we've talked about, and one thing that I mentioned yesterday was that it's being more consistent than most of the other pairs. It's actually making higher highs and moving like most of the other pairs are not. Now today we got a very strong reversal bar, a bearish bar that covered the previous 2 days combined. However, it has not broken this trend line quite yet, so my sentiment is still bullish on the euro pound, even though today's bar is very ugly. And so what I said about the pound was I'm not quite confident the pound dollar is breaking to the upside because the euro pound has still not broken to the downside. And until that happens, I still think the euro is the more consistent of the two. Which means that for the euro pound, I'm still expecting higher highs eventually. Now, it might struggle here. It might keep faking out and testing. But until it makes a strong break of this trend line and a continuation to the downside, I'm still actually expecting bullish movement and bullish momentum out of the euro pound. Now, if you're long on the euro pound, hopefully your stop loss is certainly below this trend line so that you're not getting stopped out before it even breaks this area. And even maybe a little more room below that in case it fakes out and then moves up. So in my opinion, the euro pound, even though it's ugly, is still a long until it breaks that and shows me confirmation. I think there's potential that this is just a shakeout before it makes its next leg up. Because like I mentioned, the euro pound is very consistent. It's moving up. It's kind of easier to trade than other pairs. And when a pair becomes easy to trade, often you see a lot of fake out and a lot of confusion in that pair before it continues in the direction that it was going to head in the first place. So I believe that might be what we're seeing now is just some confusion and some shakeout movement. Maybe tomorrow we'll get a strong continuation even lower before we break out to the upside. That's a very real possibility. Now there's of course the possibility that this is just going to break right through and it's not a fake out in any way. But that's how Forex works. That's why you have a stop loss with a certain amount of risk in place, so that if it is or a breakout and it is going to crush you, that it's just another loss to the tally, and you know that your wins are going to make up for that eventually, and that's just part of your trading because you're going to take losses. And so that's what to look for in the euro pound. I think that is a potential either way, but I still think that the bias is very bullish, and I'm going to continue to believe that until this is broken, and even maybe waiting until this horizontal area right here is broken as well. So my sentiment is still very bullish on the euro compared to the pound based on its overall consistency over the past few months. Okay, let's check out a few other pairs here, including the AUD dollar, which I want to take a look at now. Okay, and the only thing I want to reiterate with the AUD here is that we're in this wedge, this long-term wedge. If I scroll out, you can see long-term wedge here, and we're on an up move kind of in between this wedge. It's like a halfway point in the wedge. We're on an up move, looking like it's going to retest this top area. So what I want to reiterate is just to be waiting for shorts in this top area, to be looking at least back towards this middle channel and perhaps all the way down to the bottom of the wedge. I think those will be good opportunities, especially if you get some good price action signals, like a tail bar that pushes off the top of the wedge. So keep an eye out for that as we continue to move closer to the top of that triangle or wedge pattern. Another pair that's kind of stuck between certain areas is the pound New Zealand, which we've mentioned in the past, haven't looked at in a little while. But what's important to note about the pound New Zealand is that it's in a big wedge that can make you a lot of money, but it's also in a smaller channeling period within that wedge. So until it breaks out of this little area with the tops and the bottoms that we kind of see here, I'm not willing to trade it. But I want to let you know that if it does break out and starts heading towards the top or bottom of this channel, that there's a lot of pips to be had there. So certainly be prepared for that. And it's just a matter of a waiting game, along with a lot of other pairs, for it to break out of this channel here. Alrighty guys, and the last pair I wanted to mention was the pound yen. If you remember, we talked about how the pound yen was obviously moving up, but there's not really a solid trend line. You can see that here. It does definitely not honor the trend line. Here's kind of a fake breakout. But as it breaks back through this top low for the second time, obviously the first time being here in recent time, you can see there's a little more continuation. Here we had a break, a test all the way back down, and now some bullish continuation. So the pound yen, depending on if this pound strength continues, which again I said I'm a little weary of, but if this pound strength continues, the pound yen could be a great opportunity for long, at least up into the 133 area, for those who are interested in a longer term hold, because if you take your little drawer out here, you can see that we're about 400 pips away from that 133 area, which of course is a nice trade. I'll take 400 pips any day. So take a look at the pound yen. It's definitely looking pretty bullish, especially with the recent pound strength that we've had in the past 2 or 3 days. Alrighty, so that's it for the analysis. Thank you guys again for watching. I appreciate you stopping by, and I hope that you'll submit a picture below of the euro dollar, because I think it'd be great again to get that perspective. Alrighty guys, thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow.